Good morning, my little tater tots, and welcome to the Dick Family Basement. And my groggly throat here. Just 1 second. Of course, this only happens when I turn on my mic. It seems like every time I turn my mic to do something, I either burp or something's wrong with my throat. So, believe it or not, I didn't sleep in this morning. I can't believe last week I slept in. Oh my gosh. Very few times. If you know me, you know I rarely sleep in, if ever. Obviously, not if ever, because I slept in last week. So, anyways, this is the weekly rundown where every Thursday morning, kind of go through some news articles and what's happening here in the Dick family household. So, what is news for me? Okay, Steelers. Now we go through the sports. Steelers. Yeah, you can all make fun of me. Russell Wilson is a wash. Okay, we need to start Justin Fields this weekend as we lose to the Ravens, okay? I've been hearing stories that Tomlin is on the hot seat for being a head coach. If you are an outsider looking in, you might think, yeah, you know, Tomlin might be losing his job. As a diehard Steelers fan, though, I understand that Steelers really, at least traditionally, their culture is to stick with their head coach. And Tomlin has never had a losing season, okay? Even though I don't like Tomlin, I think that he's not a good coach. It's hard to say. Is he a good coach? Well, obviously, like, he hasn't had a losing season. Most franchises would die for that. But he definitely did not put the best product on the field this year. Full stop. Now, I don't know. I'm not a really insider. I'm not in the weeds sort of guy. Is that a GM problem? Is that a general manager's problem trying to get the talent, or is it a coaching problem? Last year, we already did fire our offensive coordinator, and I don't know if our new offensive coordinator is any good. Now, what's in the mix is the Russell Wilson question, right? Like, he's bad. I don't know how else to say it. He's not good. Last game against the Bengals, it's not good. The 2-minute drill, not good. So I don't know. I'm not too hopeful. If the Steelers win against the Ravens, man, I don't know what I'll do, but it'll be party time, I think. Okay, so T-Wolves, they won against the Pelicans, but they lost against the Pistons. They play the Magic tonight. They did beat the Clippers, which was good, and Kawhi Leonard was playing. We beat the Pelicans, and even Zion Williamson was playing, so that's good. We did some change-ups in our opening lineup. It's like this. So we'll see what happens. Today's Magic. We got Magic, Grizzly, Wizards, Warriors, Knicks. Wizards should be a win, but like I said before, we lost to the Pistons. So we need to start winning some games here. And to be very honest, I've been watching their games, and they look good, but they just run out of steam, or they just run out of the will to live. Randall is doing okay, not great. DiVincenzo is starting to come to his normal everyday sort of playing basketball, which is an elite or high level. But some of the other players just aren't playing as well as they should. So anyways, that's the T-Wolves. Not much else to talk about other than we need to win some games. We have a very tough schedule coming up. So hopefully we can win the majority of that. Bucks, same sort of thing. We've it's coming back. Like, we lost to the Trailblazers and the Nets. Like, come on. But we did win Toronto and the Spurs. They're in the East, so they usually have a very easy go of it. So yesterday we beat the Spurs. So today, it's kind of interesting. The T-Wolves play the Magic, and tomorrow the Bucks play the Magic. So Bucks should win that. Magic is not an easy opponent. They haven't been this year. So hopefully we can get some back-to-back wins of Bucks and T-Wolves. But those are all the news that is news for sports, that is. Those are the three teams that I follow. Okay, so news that is interesting to me. So what I've done is in the show notes and also on X, I've shared this link, and it's linked to all the different articles that I'll be talking about. I'm just talking about 3 articles. They're a little bit One of them is extremely out of date, and the other two are, because these were my articles from last week. So anyways, take it with a grain of salt or enjoy the history lesson, I guess. So the first thing is I've shared a Maclean's issue, December 1972. For non-Canadians out there, or maybe even for some Canadians, Maclean's has been a sort of magazine institution. It started out, I forget, maybe I should have did a deep dive in the history, but my understanding, it started in the early 1900s, and it was a business magazine, just plain and simple, just kind of business stuff. Then it morphed into a news magazine, kind of general news throughout Canada. And then actually it was a weekly magazine for a while, but now it's back to a monthly. So this is December 1972. I love magazines. And one of the things I love about magazines is that you could really tell sort of the pulse of a culture or a nation by the ads they ran in their magazines. And I'm telling you, lots of cigarette ads in the Maclean's in December 1972. It's a little bit hard to read. I encourage you to come read it. Here's some highlights in that issue, though. So there's this really interesting article about the environment back in 1972. So even 1972, there was this almost alarm about environmental changes and stuff like that. It was an editorial, and it's from the Eastern Canada. It's like this about the environmental changes that were happening there. It seems that this push for making environment the new religion of the world, and especially here in Canada and stuff like this sort of secular religion, has deep roots and long roots. And obviously they are playing this long game. I would say this sort of worship of the sun monster and of the earth is the new religion. And it's not all that new, to be very honest, but way back in 1972, it was still talking about that. There's also a testimony of a tent preacher, which is always interesting. I'm always interested in how a secular outlet reports on those sorts of phenomena, right? And it's always the skeptical eyes of people that are crazy. But I would like you to come to present time, where there was a group of women going and screaming in the forest. And if you looked at the mainstream media on that sort of phenomena, which was fairly popular and stuff like that, there's even some groups here in Saskatchewan that were doing that. It was very positive about how this is, self-love and it's positivity, and women need a safe space to get off aggression or whatever. But the videos of it were bizarre, to say the least. And so I'm always curious about what tips the balance, right, of for people with no faith. I shouldn't say no faith, but no real religious, like traditional religion as a framework. How do they look at the world? How do they frame things? And I think you could see even back in 1972 that religion they were afraid of it. And of course, tent preachers and stuff like this, what happens there would make me feel uncomfortable too, but just as uncomfortable as seeing a bunch of women screaming in the forest also, just to be very fair. But I think this is really biblical. I think this is really what happens when, people that don't know and love Jesus Christ and his church have an innate fear of any sort of religiosity, any sort of even mention of Jesus. Just a few weeks ago, we had the memorial of the holy name of Jesus. And I think that the name Jesus actually strikes fear into people. So that's another. The last one is, so we're talking about 1972, and there's this really interesting article that shows subversive pictures of homosexual couples and talking about them as just normal everyday couples. And it's interesting, they don't use gay or like homosexuals. They use homophiles, which is I didn't even know they use that term. It was a very outdated term and stuff like this. So I encourage you to read this because we're talking about 1972 in a very, I would say, mainstream magazine, talking about, the just the ordinariness or the normalization of those relationships. And no matter how you view this as a cultural phenomenon, no matter what your political view is, I think it's always good to read articles like this and talking about the long game and about how just very ordinary articles or very ordinary sort of entertainment products can really move the culture in very interesting ways, to say the least. My last thing about the Maclean's 1972 magazine is the last the last page of it, the ad. I love the ads in this magazine. I'm not gonna lie, I do like magazines. I'm very sad about the demise of the magazine, but so I'm not really a nostalgia sort of guy, right? I'm not very sentimental. You can ask my wife this, but the last the last ad is some sort of liquor. It's Smirnoff vodka, and it talks about how you can make a Bloody Mary, and the picture back there is just like, yeah, like this is so cool. Like it is the coolest ad, kind of. This guy, it's breakfast, you're having a Bloody Mary, you have your wife who is attentive to you, the guy's talking to his wife, it's like this, and they're just having a midnight brunch, so to speak. It's not like it just warms my heart in a sense. I don't know why. Check it out, prove me wrong. Read the 1972 Maclean's magazine, and then give me all your inputs here at 1-844-340-5001. Okay, the next article is from December 27th, seems like a millennia ago, about the UK housing plans. So they want to build 1.5 new homes by 2029 in England. That will be 370,000 units a year. And it has to be over, it's been over 50 years since England has built even 300,000 new homes. Why is this? Like, why are they doing this? So what's interesting is that in the article, it makes the issue of that this immigration, that this huge bump of immigrations like this in the UK has driving housing, and they're trying to create more housing, and the government's trying, and we're seeing this in Canada. Somehow Canadians have this false sense that somehow that building houses is like flipping on a switch, that the government can just flip on a switch and automatically houses are built. Notice it's like they need to build 370,000 units a year, and they haven't done that. It was 50 years since they've even built 300,000 new homes. What's my point to this? I think this worldwide, or at least in the Western world, this shortage of houses is okay. So we have more people that require more houses. Okay, I can understand that. We're talking about the result of what's happening to our immigration policy and stuff like that. But there is something actually more deep than this. And I was talking to a construction guy not too long ago, and he says one of the biggest problems he has is finding laborers. And I think this is not just what's happening here in Moose Jaw, but happening sort of in the Western world, is that there is, and statistically you can look into this and whatever, United States has really good statistical analysis. Canada does not. It sucks, which is one of my big pet peeves. But young adult unemployment, male young adult unemployment is really high. There is a lack of motivation for young males, young men, to get into the workforce, to have something that they can build a life around. And traditionally, what happened traditionally, even in my own father's, my own dad's, God rest his soul, history, you got into the workforce by being a laborer, and you worked hard, and you got paid good by doing that. And trust me, here in Saskatchewan, being a construction laborer, it pays the bills. Like it's not a sort of a low wage job by any stretch of imagination. But he's saying he's having such a a problem retaining those workers. Even in the article, it hints to this. It's even if the government got out of the way, which they seem never do, even in Saskatchewan, they would still be hard pressed to make those houses because they just don't have the labor. They don't have the people. And that's even bracketing out the resources that it takes to do it. We are in a very much a crisis time here in the Western world, in UK and here in Canada, to have labor that actually will work, right? Like he said that it's hard, first of all, to find people, and it's hard to find people that will actually work. He told me that in a span of, so he started doing this kind of work in the early 2000s. So we're talking about 25 years. In that span, it's taking him longer to build houses, not because of anything other than the quality of labor. That says something. That says something really interesting and kind of disturbing. And I'm talking to a person who from all intents and purposes, is a good employer, right? He's not somebody that's going to demand tons. You know what I mean? Like it is a concern, and that I will be talking about this probably for a while. My last article is a really niche article, but it's something that really gets under my skin. So it's a Globe and Mail. It's the Library of Parliament, and this was published in their January 1st paper. I know it all seems like ancient history. So they're talking about the Library of Parliament, which is only there to serve the people of Parliament. So we have 343 House seats, so the House of Parliament, and then 105 Senate seats. So for a total of 448. And there's this library out there. It's called the Parliament Library that curates like statistics, curates lots of these public policy papers and everything else, books on, world politics, world economics, and stuff like this. And it also has a service where, let's say an MP says, I want to know what the trade surplus is for China or trade deficit or whatever, and they'll get that sort of up and running, okay? So, and it also has normal books and everything else. I think they have 2 locations in Ottawa and stuff like this, and I want to make it quite clear, this is not open to the public. So, as you know, one of my biggest pet peeves in Canada, it is hard to find any sort of domestic information about stuff that matters, okay? It is hard, even, and I know I'm going to say something that everyone's going to groan, but even COVID statistics are hard to find. Hard, super hard. We are an embarrassment of the Western world when it comes to any sort of statistical analysis or any sort of government stats. We are abysmal, and it's hard to find, it's hard to get, and a lot of times if you get this stuff, it's of great cost. Okay, so that's my little rant there. So 448 total people that has access to this libraries. Okay. How much do you think this costs? How much? And are you, and another thing is let's be honest, not all 448 members of Parliament, both Senate and the House, actually use this. $63.2 million. That is over $14,000 per member per year. They have 400 employees. And it's not open to the public. At least that's what I understand at this article. Come on. And they do tours and stuff like this, but like they almost have as many employees as they do like clients. This is ridiculous. Like honestly. And now I wouldn't mind this for this. Let's bump this up to a cool $70 million. Let's even bump up another 50 employees and open it to the public. Like for me, just to like request some information, scan a book, scan an article for me so I can get a better understanding of, let's say, government interference from like Nepal or something like that, right? So I can be a informed electorate. Instead, it's not like that at all. It is a hoarding of information that should be open to the public. And it's costing taxpayers $63.2 million. Now, that's not a lot of money. I understand this in the government of Canada because we waste money all the time. but it is a significant chunk of money, especially when you're talking about $14,000 per member per year. That's what I'm talking about. It's crazy. Canada is clown world sometimes. Okay, those are my articles that I'm talking about or just talked about here. And now, this is a wrap up of our Advent campaign. We actually met our goal. We had a very generous benefactor that brought up the rear and took over the large chunk that we had lacking. And then after that, we had another donor come in for a little bit more money. So our goal was $2,500, and we now have 27. So that means our 1844 number is still with us. That means that we're redoing the rosary. That means on a semi-regular basis, we'll have Cheaper Than Therapy. And also we will have a book study in March. And so the book study that we're going to do is the general instruction. What is it called? The general instruction of the Roman Missal. I'm going to do it a little bit different this year. The study is that I'm going to record all the lectures. So, and I don't know how many that is. I'm already doing the study and stuff like this. I'm already reading and kind of working out my lesson plans for this. But I'm basically going to do all the lessons and then put them out in a weekly basis. And then we'll have sort of a question and answer during the week. So we'll have a live component of that where people can phone in, question and answer. Also, I'm in the process of converting that, someone told me I shouldn't call it the germ. So anyways, the Roman, the general instruction of the Roman Missal, I'm converting that into a sound file, an audio file, so that you can actually listen to it like an audio book on your computer or your phone or whatever. Everyone knows how to use that kind of stuff. So I'm in the process of doing that. So I'm very excited. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everyone that contributed to the Advent campaign. And if you'd like to still donate, you can. I'm open for any sort of donation throughout the year. It's just the Advent time is where we actually have the campaign. Oh, and I've also got a new hard drive and mic stands and stuff like that. So that's also really good that I can do that. So I've been playing lots of board games, actually. We played HeroScape twice, played Clash of Cultures, Empire of the Stars. We've been playing Gemblo a lot in our home, which is a fun little abstract game. We played, as a family, played Ark of the Covenant, and then my nephew came and we played Campaign Trail. And it's this awesome, very kind of straightforward political simulation of a campaign in the United States. It is pretty awesome, and after about 3 hours, because we were just learning the game, I'm pretty sure if we played the game again, it would be around an hour, actually, because during that 3 hours, we also had lunch and stuff like that. So anyways, Ronan beat me. I've been texting him that I want a rematch. He has not gotten back to me, so I'm a little bit sad about that, but hopefully we can have a rematch or we can play another game. So I'm kind of happy. I would like to play a little bit more games. This weekend's really busy for me. I'm preaching, and also I have my come and see on Sundays, as I do most Sundays. So yeah, that's the games. And if you're interested in playing a game with me, please let me know and I will make that happen. So what books am I reading? I just finished the new Destroyer, not new, but this Destroyer book. So it's like Remo Williams, like this. It was an okay book. It was way better than the first book. By far, the first book I thought was the way that Remo Williams treated one of the women in the books was just abhorrent, and I didn't like it. It didn't really move the plot, and it just was distasteful, full stop. But this one was just more of a fun sort of like weird and wonderful, romp through like there's an invention where the dreams are projected on a screen. And so it's just trying to get that. One of the things I find in these Destroyer series is that there's lots of just random death in a sense, like kind of everyone, all bad guys kind of die and in weird ways and so like that. So anyways, it was entertaining. I just finished it yesterday night. I'm also reading The Traveler, and it's very similar to another series I read called The Survivalists. It's by D.B. Drum, which is not the actual author. It's a pseudonym for a guy who actually wrote like RoboCop screenplay and stuff like this. So it's quite good. It's interesting. You know, yeah, I'll give you a full review later, probably next week. It's like this. And then what's on the docket now is I'm reading this book, We Are Raccoons by Jim, I think it's Monroe. And anyways, he's a Canadian author, science fiction author. He's done a bunch of movie projects like this. I find him very interesting. His books are always about alienation and about how technology is just kind of like dehumanizing us, which is kind of an interesting topic for me. Anyways, I'm going to be starting reading that book here today. What I've been watching, well, we just finished Night Agent, which was pretty good. Cooking shows. I watched this really weird game show yesterday about this grab. I don't know, but basically some person answers questions, gets time on the clock while people go and grab stuff in this sort of cage, and they have to bring it out of the cage before the time stops. I don't know. Maybe some of you can help me with this. Game shows are bizarre. Like so we watching on live TV or whatever, and Seraphine goes, do they even still have game shows? Yeah, they do, I guess. Like, I'm still watching that Korean time travel TV show. It's super slow. I'll be watching probably a little bit today because I'm going to the gym. Yeah, I don't know what else we've been watching too much. We've been trying to watch a few things and they just were duds, so we stopped watching them. So as we progress here, no disputed area today. Just all love. I will have for sure a disputed area next week. I have tons of disputed areas, but I was just too lazy to write anything down. So, and I kind of ran out of time. Inconsequential hot take. Well, I won't have an inconsequential hot take until after today, because I'm going to do something today, like cooking wise, and I'll see how good it is. And then if it's good or bad, it'll be my inconsequential hot take for next week. So, yeah, that's everything for today. Thank you for joining me. And I didn't mention this before, but I am streaming this on X. I'm trying to be more active there to get some more listeners, some more prayer warriors, some people interested in what the stuff we do. So that's sort of one of the outreaches that I'm doing. Yeah, so hopefully that turns out to be something good. You can phone me, as always, at 1-844-340-5001. You can ask me a question. You can say hi. You can say hi and where I'm from. Yeah, so please do that. Also, too, you can leave some comments below or email me. There's many different ways you can get a hold of me. Until next time. Oh, and at 7 o'clock, so in about 15 minutes, we will be praying the Divine Mercy Chaplet. So hopefully you can stay and join us for that. Until next time, God bless. Have a great day. And keep it crispy, Militator Tots.